Supreme Court defeat and bumps up his global tariffs further. The US president has increased his import duty to 15% worldwide, 24 hours after judges ruled his Liberation Day levies were illegal.
The president has been very clear that he still sees tariffs as a critical part of his economic policy.
Also tonight, searches of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's former home continue as MPs debate whether to investigate his former trade role.
This is ITV News with Lucy Watson.
Good evening. Less than 24 hours after his latest 10% global tariff announcement, Donald Trump has raised the new import duty to 15%. He said it was the highest he could make it to be certain it was legal. It comes after the US Supreme Court determined Trump's previous tariffs were illegal. Here, the government says it expects the UK's privileged trading position with the US to continue, but admits it doesn't fully understand how. And British businesses with American customers are fearful of more bureaucratic battles ahead. Saba Chowdhury has the story.
We could have done this originally, but we're doing it now, and the numbers could be far greater.
After being told his global tariffs were illegal, Donald Trump hit back and hit harder. Posting on social media, he said, "I, as President of the United States of America, will be effective immediately, raising the 10% worldwide tariff to the fully allowed and legally tested 15% level. A blanket tax on imports, 10% to now 15%. This comes just 24 hours after a bruising defeat at the US Supreme Court, which voted the president overstepped his authority by using national security to justify tariffs, and now he's using other laws to replace them.
There's no view expressed by the Supreme Court about right or wrong tariff policy, but it is very clear about constitutional limits here. And so where do we go from here? I mean, the president has been very clear that he still sees tariffs as a critical part of his economic policy, and that's exactly where the administration has pivoted.
The trade war isn't just back, it's escalating, and the stakes higher. The UK government says it will continue to support businesses while they await clarity from Washington, crucially adding it expects its privileged position to remain intact. Diplomatic language for a delicate balancing act. And while Number 10 calibrated its tone, speaking in Edinburgh, Lib Dem leader Sir Ed Davey was loading his cannon.
Nice today to Keir Starmer is to sue Donald Trump for $100 billion for the damage he's caused to Scotland and our country.
But beyond the rhetoric, the reality. Anne Claire runs a craft shop in West London, and the stop-start nature of tariffs is confusing customers.
We've lost sort of 30 to 35% of our US clients. We had to reluctantly embed the duty into the prices for our products to make sure that the customers could continue to buy with us.
Anne Claire hopes for a rebate, but says she's not optimistic, because in a trade war measured in percentages, it's businesses like hers that pay the price. Saba Chowdhury, ITV News.
Police are continuing their search of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's former home. He was arrested on Thursday on suspicion of misconduct in public office and released under investigation. Now, another possible inquiry into the former prince has been proposed. MPs are to consider whether his role as UK trade envoy needs looking into. Well, Sam Holder is here. Sam, what exactly will they be looking at?
Well, Lucy, Andrew has faced allegations that he shared official government reports with Jeffrey Epstein while he was working as a trade envoy. Today, police cars were again outside his home, Royal Lodge in Berkshire. Officers are expected to continue their search of the property over the weekend. But even before these allegations came to light, there was much criticism for Andrew over his conduct while working as a trade envoy over the course of a decade. The job was supposed to leverage his position as a prince to drum up business for Britain, but at the time he was nicknamed Air Miles Andy in the press for his fondness for foreign travel. He was accused of spending hundreds of thousands of pounds of taxpayer money on flights and accommodation, and he was also criticised for a series of gaffes, including insulting hosts, going to a party in America shortly after 9/11, and his close relationship with oligarchs. This meeting on Tuesday is scheduled for the Business and Trade Committee. That is made up of MPs from across the political spectrum. Now, initially, they won't be discussing Andrew specifically. They're going to be looking at the wider issue of trade envoys, how they are appointed and whether there's enough oversight. In fact, they can't say anything at all about Andrew at the beginning because that could potentially prejudice any future criminal proceedings.
Thank you, Sam. The Bishop of Lincoln has been released on conditional bail after he was arrested on suspicion of sexual assault. The Right Reverend Stephen Conway has been suspended from his duties while the church investigates what it is calling a safeguarding complaint. Lincolnshire Police have not described the alleged offence or offences as historic, placing them between 2018 and 2025. Conway was Bishop of Ely in 2018 and then made Bishop of Lincoln in 2023. A pioneering genetic test developed in Newcastle is improving early diagnosis and treatment for people with certain hereditary cancers. The test can spot signs in a person's DNA that cancer is present even before they show any symptoms. One patient credits the test with saving her life 3 times over. Johnny Blair reports.
One test that saved Carol Cawtrey's life 3 times.
It's a urine test, very simple to do, and it detected the cancer in my kidney. Had the kidney removed, did another urine test, picked another signal up, bladder cancer. Then I had a scan to check everything, and it picked a lung cancer up on the scan.
This is where it ends up. Examined by experts at Newcastle hospitals and Newcastle University. The test is for people with Lynch syndrome, a condition which means a higher risk of developing cancer, including colorectal and endometrial. It runs in families and affects around 1 in 278 people. This breakthrough is to check the kidneys and bladder, common cancers for those with the syndrome.
The urine test is really important because it picks up the cells from cancers in the urinary tract. So we're filling a gap in the system. People who've got Lynch syndrome desperately need to know whether their urinary tract is clear. We need to know so that we can offer them the necessary treatment, because these are curable cancers, but you have to find them first.
The results can help to tailor treatment, and the test sent in the post. Stage 1 has been success at a regional level in the northeast and parts of Cumbria. Stage 2 is to expand the trial around the country and abroad in what has already been praised by those involved as a life-saving development. Johnny Blair, ITV News.
A silver medal at the Winter Olympics is no mean feat, but it can still be a disappointment when you have literally been in touching distance of gold. That's how Team GB's men's curlers might be feeling tonight after coming second in a tense and tight final against Canada in Cortina. Here's Chris Scudder.
But then trouble in the penultimate 9th end.
Is that an easier way to lose to? I don't know.
The Brits were caught between a rock and a harder and silver, small consolation for the world champions.
Yeah, we'll put on a brave face for standing on the podium. It'll hurt, but yeah, we'll see the family tonight. We'll probably have a few drinks.
It was an afternoon to remember for Ireland's rugby union team, who are celebrating their biggest ever away win over England, 42 points to 21, as Stuart Robson reports.
It's fair to say it was bad for England and Scotland last week. Now it was Ireland's turn to topple them at Twickenham.
England half asleep.
And if that was comatose defending, England barely had time to heed the wake-up call when they were caught off guard again. There was no luck of the Irish about it.
And Rob Balogun with one of the moments of his life.
At least England were not alone limping into trouble. The Italian referee hobbled off injured. But nothing changed. England's defence parted again, and for the third time in a totally dominant half, Ireland scored again.
Tommy O'Brien and Ireland.
The Red Rose was in a thorny place.
What on earth is going on, Finn?
It hardly helped with ill discipline, leading to more yellow cards. And they could not stem the green tide. Bonus point, fourth try for Ireland. There was the odd flicker of resistance from England with 3 tries of their own, but the good points were short-lived.
And Ireland have never scored this many points at Twickenham.
It was a Saturday to forget for England, and some faces said it all. For all Ireland's Six Nations dominance in recent seasons, they never had it so good on English soil. 42 points was a thrashing. Stuart Robson, ITV News.
Later, Wales came within 5 minutes of a shock victory against Scotland in Cardiff, which would have ended their long-losing run in the Six Nations, stretching back almost 3 years. The home side led 20 points to 5 early in the second half, but Scotland came back to edge it 26 points to 23. In the Premier League, Manchester City are now just 2 points behind leaders Arsenal after beating Newcastle United tonight. And finally, the giant tortoises of the Galapagos Islands were made famous by Charles Darwin, but within a decade of his 1835 visit to the island of Floriana, they were extinct there, eaten by humans and other invasive species. Now, almost 2 centuries later, a special conservation and breeding programme has brought them back. Not giant yet, they're still young, but each of the new residents could eventually reach 5 feet in length and live for more than 100 years. Here's James Goodison.
This isn't the start of a race. It's a finish line that's taken 150 years to get to. It's been a long, slow, old journey. These giant tortoises are aged between 8 and 13, but their ancestors used to number 20,000 on this tiny island in the Galapagos when Charles Darwin famously visited the archipelago. They went extinct due to the introduction of new predators and human exploitation, and now these young tortoises, with a lot of their genetic makeup, are coming back, fitted with a tracker in case they run off. These are an emblematic species in the Galapagos, especially to Floriana, this conservation worker says. They can transform the ecosystem and allow it to regenerate. On their way, dozens got the 5-star treatment. A private boat, a bellboy to carry the luggage, but alas, still a packed airport transfer. Eventually, 700 tortoises will return to this remote part of the Galapagos. It will be their paradise. James Goodison, ITV News.
And that's it from us tonight. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.